Oh, geez. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Waters, and I am happy to be here today. I'm part of the CNY Fertility and CNY Healing Arts team. I am trying to go live on Instagram. Like, when is it all going to be one? I mean, hopefully, all of this technology will at some point really make our lives simpler, right? Easier. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, good. So, thank you for joining me today. I have been spending a lot of time thinking about the endocrine system, about fertility, in particular, endometriosis and PCOS. Anybody who has seen me on a Tuesday, that is my very favorite day of the week when I'm at CNY Fertility and I get to meet all of you, know that I always ask a couple questions. Demographics: where are you from? Where do you live? Where are you coming from? And I also ask everybody what you've been diagnosed with, fertility and otherwise. Why? Because I'm here to help you. How? With information, with treatment protocols, possibly with other ways of thinking about health versus dis-ease. My specialty in the past 30 years has been focusing on how the body heals itself, how we are supremely designed to heal and restore. So I have luckily through the decades gathered a lot of information, and it is my wish, hope, and desire that I'm able to share this information with you that you might not know and that could benefit you. Okay. So please don't be offended if I ask you that. I want to know what's going on so I can assist you. We have many ways, many ways to support the body to heal itself with acupuncture, with herbs, with functional nutrition, with phototherapy, with all kinds of new technology that's out there. It's amazing. There's a lot of good news now that we don't hear a lot about in the news, but I've got quite a story from the past few days of quite a healing tale. And I'm not going to get into all of that right now. When we get further along in the story, I certainly will. But there's two things that I would say 90% of everyone that I see has. One is PCOS, and the other is endometriosis. And there is a lot to say about both of those. I'm going to invite everybody that has a diagnosis. First of all, you're not your diagnosis, right? You've been diagnosed with something. For the most part, it's temporary. It's something that you can support the body to heal itself. These are patterns of disharmony that can be overcome. I've seen miracles occur every week in the clinic and outside of the clinic. So don't feel completely desperate, depressed, overwhelmed if you have something that you feel is life threatening. Or not necessarily, that's a little extreme to say life threatening, but you know what I mean, unalterable, because that it's just not true. We are designed, like I always say, to heal. And so if there are obstacles to your healing, we have to look at what are they. So the obstacles can be psycho-emotional. I met a very young woman this week who came in with multiple diagnoses not related to fertility. And the thing that made me sad about meeting her wasn't that she already has chronic complex illness. It's that she's very committed to a life of suffering, a life of disease. And that underneath all of it, she doesn't believe that she can heal. If that is your belief, if you've been programmed from ages 0 to 7 that sickness is inevitable. As you ascend in age, you're going to get sick. You're going to have arthritis. Life is going to be difficult. You've got to live in a ranch so that you can push your walker around. Then that's what's going to happen. Okay. And that's not horrible. It's just that's what has been set up for you in your life, and that's exactly what will happen, right? We're co-creators of our life. We're co-creators of our reality in the universe. So if you want to co-create a life of disease and disharmony, that's fine. It's usually not all for naught, right? There is always a lesson to be learned. And I'm not saying that very positive people don't also have challenges. They do. And some things are very complicated and we don't know why. Reality is not based in logic. Okay. Reality is not based in a linear way of thinking this plus that always equals that. It doesn't. We know that. We've experienced that every day. So I don't want you to feel set in stone in some rigid way of thinking of, oh, this is what I have. I don't know the cause. So I always ask people, well, what do you think caused your endometriosis? Oh, they don't know. Okay. So first of all, I didn't ask they or them. I'm asking you. This is your body. This is your vehicle. This is your journey. It's, I think about this a lot. Is it too high of an expectation to ask you to become your own doctor in a way? And I love the debate because I don't know the answer and I like hearing feedback about it. Half the people I talk to about it say it's unrealistic because the medical world is outside of most people. They're not interested. If you're a mechanical engineer or an attorney or a judge or whatever, you don't care about how the pancreas is producing insulin, or you don't care about the thyroid and what happens if it's starting to attack itself. But oh, and then the other thing is, well, the average person doesn't know about how to, fix their car. But my point is that they weren't born a car, right? You're born into this body. This is your vehicle. So as much as you possibly can learn, not in an intellectual way necessarily, but in an intuitive way, a tuning in way to think about what's causing your pattern of disharmony. It's going to help you. It's going to give you information. And everything begins in the emotional realm. So you may have a lot of repressed rage. You may have a lot of grief. There's so many couples have experienced recurring pregnancy loss. Unfortunately, there's a lot of emotion attached to that. If you do not clear out that emotion and make peace, you don't have to be joyful and happy, but you have to be neutral. You have to get to the reality of this occurred without breaking down in tears, right? So that whatever situation you're in, it's no longer a trigger. That's when you know that you've truly let something go. When it comes up in conversation, you meet somebody and they're bringing up this subject and you are not on the verge of tears or breaking something. Okay. So those are triggers that need to be looked at. That is true spiritual practice, working with your triggers, seeing you're still on the verge of tears over this loss or this frustration or the fact that you can't feel joyful for somebody else who has just gotten a positive pregnancy test. That's being honest. Okay. It doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you an honest person. And that means that you really care, that you want to have those positive feelings. So that's a very good sign. Because so many, we're becoming this nation of non-detachment, which is very deeply disturbing. So we have to tip the scales by becoming more concerned, more caring, more attached, more willing to go into the challenging conversations with each other, with ourselves, with our family, and deal with the fallout and the consequences, because it's not always easy. You don't get the results. Not everybody's ready to have what they perceive as a conflict-based conversation. It rarely works out in my life, but I've decided, you know what, I'm going to keep going because it matters to me, because I want to become unburdened. I want to be free emotionally. So anyways, that's a tangent. So back to endometriosis and PCOS. Ask yourself, what do you think was the cause? Okay. Do a deep dive, do some research, look at it from all different points of view, right? The Western medicine, what I call the disease care model, they have their view. It's valid. It is. And all the other views are also. So taking in all of this information, see what resonates with you, right? Okay. So for a long time, I thought, endometriosis, it was fairly recent when it was categorized in the autoimmune category. And I thought, that's ridiculous. Just because you have endometrial tissue outside of the uterus, what does that have to do with the body attacking itself? Nothing. It's all structural. 100% of it's structural. Ask anybody that has stage 3, stage 4 endo. Do they have a retroflexed uterus? Do they have an antiflexed uterus? I'm looking for my little uterus models here to show you. I bought these expensive little models, so I try to use them whenever I can because I love them. They were really well done, and it helps to get a visual for those of you that are visual learners. When you're 5 years old or 8 years old, you fall on the ice, you hit your sacrum, you hurt your tailbone, your uterus, which is usually in this position, is now thrust into a different position. Remember, the uterus is supported in space. It's not space, but in the pelvic bowl with ligaments. These ligaments are designed to stretch. Why? The uterus is going to grow from the size of a pear to the size of a watermelon. So the ligaments are flexible. They need to be. If they're not, they're going to rip and tear, and that's a whole nother thing. They're non-vascular. They still need blood supply, but anyways, so once the uterus has shifted, then let's fast forward 10 years later, you start your menstrual cycle. The blood is not flowing out freely because of the position of the uterus, and it's pulling the fallopian tubes, which are very thin, easy to create scar tissue and inflammation in there. And now the ovaries are out of their position. So we're setting up, you've had this issue for a long time, generally, because of one fall that you don't even remember. If you're athletic, you're a tomboy, you're whatever, you've had a lot of falls that you don't remember. Now the uterus is out of position. You begin your menstrual cycle, the blood is not flowing out well. And so you're getting the brown discharge in the beginning and the end of the month of your cycle. That is the sign that old endometrial tissue is, the new lining is growing on top of the old. So the brown is a sign that it is not cleansing properly, thoroughly. You need some help. You can do that with hands-on the Arvigo massage. You can do castor oil packs. You can work with your herbalist, do some blood quickening, liver supporting, how to overcome your blood stasis pattern in order to get this endometrial tissue flowing well every month, shedding the lining completely. You can do veggie steaming also. It's really very effective, easy thing to do. But it's still not going to put your uterus back into position, which you can do. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's possible in just 1 or 2 sessions, but depending on how severe the anteflexion or retroversion is, there's a lot of hands-on work that you can do. Everything's connected to the sacrum, all the nerve supplies that go right into your uterus, and the ovaries are connected through your lower spine. Chiropractic adjustments help, some deep tissue massage helps. Learning the Arvigo work really helps. If you happen to be in central New York on July 27th, I'm going to be teaching an in-person class. I don't know if we can do it on Zoom as well. I mean, hopefully we can. So for those of you that aren't here, sign up for my newsletter, jenniferwaters.net. And I will be sure to put the information in there. It's going to be at Syracuse Yoga, which is a really awesome place. She's doing a fabulous job keeping the business going. Everybody who has monthly subscriptions in the yoga world, please keep it going in the summer. If you can afford it, please think of this as your generosity practice. This is part of your yogic practice and your commitment to help the studios stay alive, because we want them to be there whenever we're ready to jump into a class. But if we don't keep paying our dues, then they're not going to be there whenever we want to jump into a class. Does that make sense? So that's my little plug for the studios. It's not easy. It is a challenging job to own a yoga studio. People think, oh, it must be so much fun. It's not. It's hard. It's hard, right? Managing schedules, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm going to do an in-person class July. I can't find my calendar for some reason, but it's on Saturday from, I think, 2 to 4 p.m. So please join us if you can. It's going to be fun, I hope. And so anyways, back to endometriosis. So we've established how the endometrial tissue gets out of the uterus, right? We've established the why, right? But then what happens? Okay, so now it is being diagnosed. Oh, you have autoimmune condition. This is the body attacking itself. Is that what the body is going to do? So you're supremely designed. And now you're going to tell me, no, that was just a joke. That we didn't really mean that. Actually, your body's now attacking you. It must be Your fault. You did something. And so now you're under attack. That is ridiculous. The body does not attack itself, right? There's multiple theories out there. Some say heavy metals attack, viruses, bacteria. Listen, we've been living with viruses since the beginning of time. This is nothing new, folks. Of course, it's in our terrain. Of course, it's part of our DNA. Of course, it is. You have to strengthen the host. This is the whole thing about germ theory. You want to get your immune system strong? Strengthen the host, the tissue, your glands, your endocrine system. Get your glands functioning better. Guaranteed, you're not going to be a very good host for viruses, bacteria, and heavy metals. How are you going to do that? Luckily, we've got all the solutions. There's a couple ways to really do it that's fast. I like things that are effective. Don't take weeks, months, years. Once you get your mind on board and you clear out all of the negative emotions in the subconscious mind, now you add in these effective solutions, modalities, bam, you're going to make a lot of changes quickly. I'm seeing it now more and more. It's really exciting. It's a wonderful time to be involved with healthcare. I have to say it's an honor. It really is an honor to watch people overcome chronic patterns of disharmony. So a couple quotes I have. So that's the one theory about autoimmune. Remember, autoimmune is not a primary disease. It's part of the disease process. By the time you've been diagnosed with endometriosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever it is that your autoimmune condition is, it means that the scales have tipped so far, right? That the cells have lost their integrity, your tissue has lost its integrity, and there's things in the bloodstream, proteins in the blood that should not be there, right? Our blood is not our lymphatics. The waste system in our body is the lymphatic system and the reticuloendothelial system. I'm learning these big words from somebody I'm studying with. Is really helping me to understand how the body is designed in the purification process. And it's that reticuloendothelial system, the RS system, is supposed to be carrying out the waste so that the proteins that are part of your, the nucleus of your cells are supposed to stay in there. And when they don't, from oxidative stress, cellular damage, inflammation, I don't care what it is, the body's inability to replicate healthy new cells in a way that's truly regenerative, then the body's burdened, right? There's a huge toxic load, and the proteins in the blood is what is being attacked. That means the immune system is doing its job, right? It's sort of like if you have a guard dog and it's been trained to guard your house, and then there's an intruder that comes and the dog is barking and carrying on, and now you wake up and you're so annoyed the dog is barking, you're going to punish the dog for barking and doing its job. That's ridiculous. You need to reward the dog and say thank you for protecting us and guarding us, and now we're pretty sure everything's okay, so you can stop barking. Okay. So no, what the disease care model says is, oh, the body's attacking itself. It must be the immune system has gone awry. So we're going to punish the immune system by shutting down the immune system. That's ridiculous. That makes absolutely no sense. This is not homeostasis. It's not hemodynamics. This is not how we are designed, right? We have to go back to the original understanding of health and healing. The body wants to heal itself. And so if it's not, we have to look at what is tipping those scales, right? So we want to get, in the case of endometriosis, we want to get the proper alignment back. And then ultimately, we have to strengthen the spleen because the uterus doesn't have its own endocrine gland, right? The ovaries obviously are part of the endocrine system. Thank you. I love thinking and talking about the ovaries. We'll talk about that more next week. But the uterus doesn't, right? So we have to look to the spleen because the spleen in Chinese medicine holds things in its place. So whether it's hemorrhoids, loose stools, easy to bruise, excess bleeding, um, then if any of that's occurring, we look to the spleen, the spleen, the spleen. The spleen is under constant assault because it's very sensitive to our diet and our feelings and our thoughts, overthinking, worry, rumination, eating a lot of cold food. So it's easy for the spleen to become burdened, right? And say, whoa, 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 like I need some more help here. I need some proper cooked food. I need less worry, less ruminating, no more waking up in the middle of the night with the chatter, chatter, chatter. You got to get good at interrupting that. So, well, one thing I heard that I thought was really interesting, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Kiltz concurred. I believe I have it in writing, even that there has never been a case where endometriosis has been found on the spleen. So we have to ask the surgeons. We can ask Dr. Luthringer. We can ask the other surgeons at CNY Fertility, Dr. Verity Ellis. Have you ever found endometrial tissue on the spleen? We know it goes in the brain. It can be on the thyroid. I've heard it being on the lungs. I think even in the lungs. It's really can wreak havoc in the body. But it's never been on the spleen. So that became very interesting for me to kind of investigate. And now we know the protomorphogen of the spleen is the treatment. It is a way to get the body stronger. So protomorphogen is a specialized extraction. It basically has the DNA of the gland in it so that the antigens or antibodies are going to be attacking the protomorphogen, which we're going to think of as a decoy. So that's what's getting attacked is this supplement that you're going to take that includes this glandular product. So that's getting attacked, and then we supply the uterus in this case with the nutrients that it needs to repair. So we do work on the location, circulation, we get the ligament stronger, we put her back in a proper position, we create the decoy for being attacked, and then we supply the vital nutrients, and now we are actually healing the body. We're healing this pattern. Nothing else, we can prevent things from getting worse. If nothing else, we can prevent recurring pregnancy loss. I mean, absolutely. I feel very confident about that. So that's it in a nutshell. Oh, and so then when you do that and then you add light, whether it's LED, whether it's laser, probably not so much in this case. You would do that at different times. But phototherapy or energy enhancer. There's lots of new technology out there, folks. When you start adding light to this kind of terrain where you've worked on the location, you've increased the blood flow. Now we are working with the lymphatics. The body is purifying itself. We create the decoy. That's what's being attacked. We replace the vital nutrients that are lost. Now you apply light. You are supercharging your ability to heal. You are supercharging this on a cellular level. Remember, we repair the cells, the mitochondria of the cells with light. Everybody wants to talk about alpha lipoic acid, CoQ10, vitamin C, which is if you're taking ascorbic acid, you're wasting your money, you're clogging up your liver. Do not take ascorbic acid. Vitamin D, same thing. Try to stay away from synthetic isolated nutrients. It's not going to benefit you in the long run. Then I'm on a tangent now. If you're doing all of that, that's great. But why not use light, which is the most direct application into the mitochondria? Now you're releasing nitric oxide. Now you're repairing the cells. And you combine that with the micronutrients that you need. I believe that we can get a lot of healing done in a very short amount of time. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for your interest in health and in life. I'm trying to not say anymore, but we can see that's not going too well. I'm going to say goodbye. Oh, here, let me see. I'm moving this around. Natalie, older here. I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram here and then I'll answer the Facebook question. Thank you, everybody. Bye. And now, older here and second miscarriage with extreme high TSH. Yeah. Is it age or is it TSH? That's not the right question to ask, Natalie. The question to ask is, why do you have high TSH? You could be 24 and have high TSH. So that's the question to ask. How are you going to repair your thyroid? Okay. So email me and I can tell you how I would suggest that you do it. It's very, I don't want to minimize everything and say, oh, it's easy. But listen, health is easy. Disease is complicated. Health is easy. Okay. So I want you to focus on that. The part of your life, part of your journey that is easy. Stardust Red Bow. That is a cool name. Diet makes a major difference for me. I want you to use the word nutrition, not diet. All right. Diet is something you do, dieting, diet sell books, this and that. I want you to focus on nutrition. Okay. It's the most important thing. It absolutely is the foundation. It's what makes your blood, and the blood is what is nourishing everything. And it's a huge part of your endocrine system. Remember, the endocrine system is called the ductless system. Why? Because it doesn't, none of the endocrine glands have a duct. Like the gallbladder has a duct for the bile, the liver has a duct for the bile. The endocrine glands are ductless, which means the hormones, which are the most important part of your fertility journey here and your ascension journey, I call it. I don't like to call it aging because we're ascending. Is your hormone balance, right? And those secretions are going directly into the blood. So it's absolutely essential to get your endocrine system functioning well and balanced, right? If your thyroid is off, it's a guarantee your ovaries are off. And which came first? Here's the good news about healing though. Fix your thyroid, guess what? Your ovaries are going to say, hooray, now we can work better. You fix one area of the body and everything else is going to improve, okay? Now, we may need to target other areas after we fix your thyroid, but it's going to be a whole lot easier, okay? Is red light therapy effective? Effective for what? Yes, it's very effective. Now, remember, anybody that says red, oh, I have a red light, they mean red and near infrared. Red light warms up the tissue so that near infrared can pass through. If you're using red light for your thyroid, it's great. Why? Because the thyroid is very close to the surface of the skin. So the red and near infrared can get right into the gland, but you still need the targeted micronutrients. What does the thyroid love? Iodine, right? One drop in your water is going to help. It's an antiseptic and it's an important mineral. It's a nutrient the thyroid needs to function. So you use the red light to remove the inhibition of the thyroid, and then you give it what it needs to heal and repair itself. Bam! Suddenly your TSH is effective. It's going to be in normal ranges, possibly. If you're using red light for your ovaries and you happen to have a couple inches of fascia on your abdomen, not effective. We need something stronger to get into the ovaries. Because the near infrared, it's only going to go so far through the fascial layer, right? That's when laser therapy comes in. It's awesome. It's stronger and you can really get into the ovaries. If you don't, let's say you bought like some handheld thing through Amazon or whatever, and you're like, oh, darn, I was going to use this for my ovaries and I happen to have a couple inches of fascia on over them. Just shine the light on your ears. Why? The ear is a microsystem, whole body represented in the ear. So shine light on your ears and you're going to get the whole body, all the glands, all your vertebrae, all the organs. Can endometriosis prevent egg maturation? Very good question. I'm going to say, Laura, probably. Here's the thing. Your follicular fluid, first of all, it requires an incredible amount of energy to ovulate, okay? So the whole theory of ovulation is a bit of a miracle, right? You're born with, while you're in utero, you have a finite number of eggs. When you're born, you have the amount of eggs that you have at 20, 34, or, I mean, pretty much. Obviously, you're releasing some. But first of all, that's a bit of a miracle. If that's true, it's worth the debate. And then what happens is, as you know, folliculogenesis, the follicles start forming, which again it's amazing when you see it, like a video of it, like, oh my God, this is an incredible process of this antral follicle developing. I was thinking about it the other day about women that go in for an egg retrieval and there's no eggs. Well, what is that about? Well, the follicular fluid is a representation of your entire body, right? It's if we were to take out a few drops of that follicular fluid, it's going to tell us everything about your health from the view that I'm mostly relying on now is Chinese medicine, about how well your kidneys are functioning, your liver, your spleen, your hormonal system, your endocrine system. It's all in there. So if the eggs are not maturing, endometriosis, remember, it's not its own disease. It's the end stage of something that happened a long time ago. It's extreme. It's an extreme diagnosis that, of course, it's going to affect your egg quality. Because you need to get back to health and what is the best environment for the eggs to mature. I hope that answers your question, Laura. Summer Albany, my ESR is 40. How to lower it to a normal level? I don't know. Summer, we'd have to talk about that. I need to sort of tune in to you personally to answer that. So you can do that through my website, jenniferwaters.net. Happy Wednesday, everybody. And may all your dreams and wishes come true. Reach out to me. Send me an email if there's anything in particular you'd like me to discuss. I would be more than happy to. Bye.